Live from 2 News. This is Talkin' Real, powered by Strong Auto Group.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talkin' Real. I'm David James. He's Brian Dunseth. We're here every Thursday talking all things Claret and Cobalt. RSL coming up a crazy game in Portland. Wildly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the environment is everything we expected. We knew from the opening whistle chances were going to be created, and just when we thought it was going to be Javier Morales' Joao Plata. Morales just goes past and leaves Coarse stranded as Plata comes backside and catches the goalkeeper cheating.
That was in the 16th minute. RSL striking first, but just past the half-hour mark. 31st minute, ball in the middle of the park, played to Kyle Beckerman, gets away from him. Oh, there it is. That challenge is going to get a red.
Yeah, at this point in the season, absolutely. As he brings the ball down with his chest, Fernando Adi comes back across, gets to the ball first as Beckerman goes through. I don't think it's a malicious challenge, but at this stage of the season, the moment you show the bottom of your studs, the referees are going to look to endangering your opponent with a tackle. Straight red card, Beckerman down.
58th minute, Urim Afsisian taking the ball away from Nad Borchers, getting in front of Borchers, and then finishing. 2-0, RSL up 2 goals down a man.
Well, and it's one of the dynamics that we heard from Urim Afsisian when he came back from Spartak Moscow on loan to Real Salt Lake is he doesn't need as many chances as he necessarily did before he left. As he pulls away, he slows himself down, catches the goalkeeper leaning, goes right between the legs. 2-0 lead for Real Salt Lake, down a man.
79th minute, crazy sequence here. Ball sent in, takes a touch, punched out, and then off the crossbar and in. Aspria couldn't finish, but Adi did.
Yeah, and question marks on the build-up. Was Nat Borges in an offside position? It took a deflection, so it rendered him back onside. As the shot comes off the crossbar, Fernando Adi, right place, right time, just opens up his hips and pushes it past both Raimondo and Tony Beltran.
83rd minute. Watch James and Olave, middle of the screen, battling with Adi there, just inside the 18. That's a hand to the face. That's another red card.
Well, and as Adi comes across, he's looking for positioning, trying to get on the left shoulder of James and Olave. It's the assistant referee on that near side. You could see his flag raise up immediately. Anything hand to face in this league right now, referees will go back pocket if it was spotted. Fernando Adi gets his goal from the penalty spot, second of the match. As Nick Raimondo goes to one side, Adi kind of goes right down the middle and draws this scoreline level.
RSL defending for their life, down 2 men. The final 10 minutes plus some stoppage. It ended up being about 13 minutes. So they get a point on the road in a place that's difficult to get a point. They deny Portland a couple more, but is it enough?
It depends. What do you want to do? You want to go glass half empty, glass half full. Half empty, it's once again you've given up the possibility for 3 points on the road, much like we saw in Orlando. Half full is, if I would have told you in the beginning of the match, down 2 men in Portland and you still get a point, absolutely you take it. So big picture, it's a good point on the road. We talk about 3 points at home, getting points on the road. The disappointment will be now you head into an international break when you know on the backside 10 days later you're looking at a Sporting Kansas City matchup, which is going to be very, very, very difficult without 3 massive players for this team.
All right, let's take a look at the standings here. RSL playing the Western Conference leader, Sporting Kansas City. A week from Saturday, Sporting's perfect 3-0, 9 points, 3 matches. The Galaxy Quakes and FC Dallas have 6. Now, they've all won twice at home and then lost their only road contest. RSL, 5th with 5 points, perfect at home. They've earned 2 points on the road. Dynamo, Timbers, Rapids, another point back with 4 as most of the West is just all jammed up at this point. In the East, Montreal and Philly lead the way with 6, Orlando City 5, Toronto and NYCFC have 4, the Red Bulls 3, the Fire and Revs still searching for their first win. Now, with the current FIFA International window in play, RSL catches a break. They don't hit the pitch for 9 more days. A week from Saturday, they are in Kansas City. You can see all the action from Children's Mercy Park, the facility formerly known as Sporting Park, right here on KMYU at 6 o'clock. Now, as you mentioned, Donnie, RSL is going to be playing shorthanded, not 1, not 2, but 3 starters will be missing from the 11. Beckerman and Olave, obviously, with the red card. Yep. And now, we've also learned Burrito will not be dancing in Kansas City either, just confirmed by MLS today. Suspended one match for his foul on Darlington Nagbe late in the match.
And to be quite honest, I think if Real Salt Lake had not already had 2 red cards, Burrito might have seen a straight red card for that tackle on Nagbe, based on endangering the safety of your opponent coming from behind and kind of that scissor motion. I think that Burrito tried to pull out, but when it was announced, it wasn't surprised whatsoever. Immediately after the game, there were already conversations being had about that. Listen, the reality is now you're looking at Justin Glad. You're looking at Luke Mulholland. You're looking at Jordan Allen or an Olmes Garcia to come in and immediately step into that starting role. The good news also is with the international break, you get an opportunity with the relationship with the Real Monarchs to get these guys some significant minutes. So not all is bad, not all is ideal, but at least there are some positives working to get the guys that are going to step into this match full match fitness and still have that week to recover.
So the Monarchs, unlike last year where it was mostly young guys, they could see a lot of RSL guys.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. All right. Burrito misses the game, but Kansas City fans are going to miss a chance to see a guy who is very entertaining with the ball at his feet.
I love to see good soccer. I love to see special players make special plays. And, you know, of course I'm a fan, of course, but it's fun to watch. It's exciting. And it's, you know, there's a lot of things that you just can't teach, and you know, he's special.
You slow some of that video down. Okay, what exactly did he do to get out of that?
He has a lot of ideas, and he's got the skill to back up those ideas. And it's really nice when you see other players that are understanding that what he's capable of, and they're making the right runs to put themselves in good positions.
All right, so for RSL now, no Burrito.
Yeah.
Has he lived up to the talk in the offseason when because he told in his exit interview at the end of last season, he told Craig Weibel, maybe 60, 70%. Has he really been that much better this year?
No, he has, and I think a lot of that comes down to sharpness. It has to do with him understanding the strengths and weaknesses of his teammates, understanding the philosophy of the coaching staff, and ultimately the formation that they play in. And I think, you know, quite honestly, having that full preseason underneath his belt has brought up his intensity to his rhythm, to his fitness levels that were expected. I would also say, historically in this league, it's been incredibly, incredibly difficult for players to come in halfway through the summer, knowing that they've had the break, knowing that they're stepping into a new league, new expectations, the physical elements with the travel, the time change, the altitude, humidity, all the different factors that come into play. So I absolutely agree. I think it's everything, all the glimpses that we saw at the end of last season, now we see it on daily vines, GIFs, everything that Burrito continues to do. He's been phenomenal for this league, phenomenal for Real Salt Lake.
Well, he works his magic. He's not the only guy playing really, really well at this point.
Yeah.
Plata has been killing it. Goals, assists, just 3 goals, 2 assists. And Yura also getting his first goal there, beating the bearded one. Scoring is up all over the league.
Yeah.
Think this is an early season blip or a sustainable trend?
I think it's sustainable for 2 reasons. One, I think target allocation money that was introduced halfway through the season last year, and then the pushed up amount that we saw heading in to January. I think when you see target allocation money in this mechanism alongside designated players, you're talking about difference makers. You're talking about offensive-minded players. You're talking about guys that are goal scorers, or that it can at least create opportunities to provide goal-scoring chances. You're not going to see too often target allocation money go into center backs or outside backs. You do see teams utilizing target allocation money to re-sign players long-term. Darlington Nagbe, Diego Chara, Fernando Adi, perfect examples for the Portland Timbers. But those guys were already in place, and utilizing that money while you have it versus holding on to that pot and looking to bring in difference makers. It's just kind of comparing and contrasting teams around the league. But yeah, listen, 90 goals in just 3 weeks in Major League Soccer. I would say that this is going to be a sustainable trend throughout the course of the season. Shutouts are going to be the exception, not necessarily the rule throughout the course of the year.
All right, all these goals leading to some eyebrow-raising final scores in some notable matchups.
Yeah.
Take a look at some of the 4-3.
Well, the Houston Dynamo have now scored 11 goals this season. I think they've conceded 7, maybe 8 on the year. New York Red Bulls trailing this match 3-1, able to come back, a couple of incredible goals from Felipe. FC Dallas coming back from getting stomped in Houston, a 5-0 loss, go on to beat the Montreal Impact, who was an incredible start to the year as they reintroduce Didier Drogba into their group. Referee decisions leading to the loss for Seattle Sounders at home against Vancouver Whitecaps in that Cascadia Cup clash. And then another red card in LA, San Jose Earthquakes. First half as LA Galaxy continue to roll and kind of brush aside the disappointment of that late goal conceded in Colorado a week and a half earlier.
All right, most of MLS gets a week's worth of rest because of the international FIFA window. 6 unlucky teams will be lacing them up this weekend, most notably DC United taking on Dallas. You're going to be there for that one Saturday, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Vancouver hosting Houston. Since we've been mentioning the international window, we might as well discuss the U.S. national team roster. Jurgen Klinsmann calling in Kyle Beckerman and 25 other guys with lesser hair for a home-and-home World Cup qualifying series with Guatemala. A couple key matches here. What do you make of Jurgen's roster?
Well, you've got to take in consideration 2 things. One, you have to consider it's a World Cup qualifier at Guatemala, and even though the record suggests 23 matches unbeaten for the United States, including a 4-0 drubbing in that warm-up match in Nashville back on July 3rd, it's still Mateo Flores Stadium. It's still Guatemala City. It's still an incredibly difficult environment against a team that's been together for 10 days now. A majority of this group has been together 10 days as their preparation for the United States. So they have to win. They have to win to give themselves a shot to get out of this group. For the United States, it's balancing the U.S. under-23s and their home and away leg against Colombia in Barranquilla and then back in Dallas. So Jonathan Brooks and DeAndre Yedlin aren't with the 23s, even though they're eligible. They're with the full team. This tells me that there's a little bit of concern from Jurgen Klinsmann, and rightfully so, considering it is a very difficult environment. And if you sit back, Guatemala is going to be all over you from the opening whistle, including the fans, that atmosphere, which is incredible. But I think it sets them up should they get a positive result. And the positive result is a point. I'm hearing rumors that the Guatemala national team is having issues with getting visas for certain players to get back into the United States for that second leg at Mafre Stadium in Columbus. So this is a big game for both sides.
How often does that happen in international soccer? I mean, there's a lot of travel, a lot of guys across a lot of borders all around the world.
Yeah, well, it just depends. If you are one of those nations that does need a visa to get in the United States, then you have to think about the individual player and kind of that past that they've had, whether that's been in the U.S. as a player for Major League Soccer or that's something that they've had previously in their timeline. So this, make no mistake about it, it's a huge game for Guatemala at home and a huge game for the United States to get a point.
Do you think the U-23s are going to be in the Olympics?
I would say it's very questionable at this stage.
So 25% chance, 50-50?
I would say that they blew their opportunity by being in the United States, being at Rio Tinto Stadium, and losing 2-0 to Honduras. Right. Against Colombia, this is a golden generation, not just for the national team of the 2014 World Cup, but this next generation is far better than people are giving them credit for. This game in Barranquilla is going to be gigantic, and they can't afford to get blown out in the way they did against the 2 friendlies in Brazil at the end of last season.
All right. Remember to follow Dunny on Twitter and Instagram at Brian Dunseth, and on Facebook at Brian Dunseth1. I'm on Twitter and Facebook at David DJ James. Now, remember, Dave Fox is coming up next. Stay with us. Dave Fox will be here to take you to the Utes Pro Day and to show you what happened with the Jazz and the Thunder. So stay tuned. More Talkin' Sports in a moment.